Hello and welcome to our software tutorial series. In this tutorial, we will provide you with an explanation of entering the Child and Dependent Care credit in the tax software. In this tutorial, you will learn how to enter the Child and Dependent Care credit in the tax software. The Child and Dependent Care credit is a credit to help taxpayers who must pay for child care. Remember, to claim the credit, you must file Form 1040 or Form 1040A. You cannot claim the credit on Form 1040EZ. Use IRS Form 2441, Child and Dependent Care Expenses, to calculate the credit. In the tax software, enter the information first on Form 2441, which is the credit claim form used when filing the Form 1040. Select the DC checkbox in the Dependent/Non-Dependent section in the main information sheet for each qualifying dependent. The tax software loads Form 2441 with your return when you select this checkbox. Complete this form and the tax software calculates the credit. The taxpayer in our example pays dependent care expenses during the year for his daughter's child care. In column 1A, type the care provider's name. The tax software calculates the code box. In column 1B, on the first entry, enter the care provider's street address. In the second entry, enter the care provider's zip code. The tax software uses the zip code feature to automatically enter the city and state. In column 1C, you will enter the Social Security number for the care provider. Remember that you do not have to enter the dashes. If the number is an employer identification number, select the checkbox labeled EIN. If the care provider is a tax-exempt organization that is not required to have an employer identification number, type tax-exempt in this entry. In our example, the tax preparer was unable to obtain the information from the care provider. In this situation, the IRS requires that you write "See page 2" in the spaces that request information that you do not have. On page 2 of the form, explain the steps you took to obtain that information. Once we have entered this information, we will now need to return to page 1 of the 2441. Returning to line 1C, we will now type "See page 2." This is the text that is required for electronic filing in those fields. If you attempt to write the entire word "page," the tax software displays an error. We will now need to enter the total amount that was paid to this care provider in column 1D. As there are no other care providers to enter, we will now scroll down to part 2. Notice that the qualifying person's information calculates to columns 2A and 2B because the DC checkbox was selected on the main information sheet. Enter the amount for qualified expenses paid in column 2C. The tax software calculates the remainder of this form. The tax software then calculates the information from Form 2441 and gives you the credit for child and dependent care expenses on line 11. If you are using Form 1040, the tax software calculates the amount of the credit to Form 1040 page 2, line 48. The IRS provides 8 lines in Form 2441 Part 1 to enter the daycare providers. If you need additional space, you should attach a statement. In the tax software, there are 2 statements that need to be added. To enter the provider's name and address, click on line 1A, and then press the F9 key. In the Entry Links window, click the New Providers Form 2441 line 1A and line 1B link, and then click OK. To add additional providers, identify number and amounts paid. Click on line 1C and press the F9 key. Select the New Providers Form 2441 line 1A and 1B statement link and click OK to enter the statement. Because of IRS rules for claiming the credit, if the filing status is married filing jointly and the spouse did not have earned income, if the spouse is a student or unable to care for himself or herself, that spouse is considered to have earned income for the year because of IRS rules for claiming the credit. In the tax software, there is a worksheet located on the bottom of Form 2441 page 1 to complete these calculations. First, enter the number of months the spouse was a student or disabled. Be sure to enter this in the appropriate entry. This depends on the number of qualifying children the taxpayer and spouse have. The tax software then considers the spouse to have earned income, and the credit calculates. If the spouse is disabled and the taxpayer's expenses include expenses for care of the spouse, select the checkbox. Check if the care listed above was for a disabled spouse. The spouse's name and Social Security number calculates to line 2. Never enter the spouse's information in the dependent care section of the main information sheet. You should now be able to enter the child and dependent care credit in the tax software. Thank you for viewing this tutorial.